Welcome back to Buffalo Fireside Chats, where we go into the trenches of the trading world. Hey guys, what's up? And yeah, I am pumped. Coming off that Monday night Bills game, that onslaught. You are damn right I'm excited. I mean, what a game. And if you're a Jags fan, I'm not poking at you, but man, Bills had a good game. We're 3-0. And you may notice I ditched my BFC cap for the new Bills sideline cap. So some love it, some hate it. I got heckled a little bit at work. Not going to say, but let me know what you think. Do you like the 24-25 sideline cap? Tell me what you think. If I look like an idiot, we'll just put it in the comment section. That's fine with me. But if you think I look good, tell me too. Personally, I love the cap. I got to say that because my wife got it for me for my birthday. 100% honesty, 100% transparent. Hey, I want to also give a shout out to longtime BFC supporter and Discord contributor, Bella. Bella, happy birthday. You're an awesome contributor. I love having you on a part of the BFC, the whole community. You contribute a lot. You're part of the iList Discord too. You're the one that manages all those shares. So good of you. And happy birthday to you. And I got to say, if you guys are down south, you know, there's a storm rolling in. And so I want everybody down there to be safe. Rob's down there now, so I'm sort of manning this whole show by myself. So what does this button do here? What is this one? Yeah. Let's see. All right, I'm going to stop messing around. I'll stop messing around. I don't want to get a text from Rob saying, stick to the script, bro. Nah, he's great. Guys, if you're down there, stay safe. Very, very important. So I know what we're here to do. We're here to get down and dirty in the trenches of the trading world. Let's get right into it. Tonight, the president from Signing Day Sports, NYSE Ticker SGN, Mr. Jeff Hecklinski. Let's bring him in.
Meet Jeff Hecklinski, an accomplished football mind with over 2 decades of coaching experience. As a highly rated high school quarterback, he excelled at Western Illinois University, becoming the second leading passer in school history with nearly 6,000 career yards. After a brief stint in the Arena Football League, he embarked on a successful coaching career in 1998. Hecklinski has since made his mark at some of the nation's top programs, serving in key roles at Arizona, Ball State, San Diego State, Michigan, and more. His coaching expertise spans across quarterbacks, wide receivers, and offensive coordination, showcasing his versatility and deep understanding of the game. He comes to us with 19 years experience at the Division I Power 5 level, with 12 years experience as a recruiting coordinator and 13 years experience as an offensive coordinator. With a passion for developing talent and a history of success, Jeff Hecklinski is a true leader in college football. Here for his maiden voyage on Buffalo Fireside Chats from Signing Day Sports, NYSE Ticker SGN, President Jeff Hecklinski.
Coach Heck, welcome to the BFC. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me in. Really looking forward to this. And it's been a pleasure over the last couple of days getting to know you. And I have a different passion for the Bills now. And, you'll understand why as I go into my story a little bit more. But really enjoyed watching that Monday night win versus the Jags.
Yeah, no, it was a great game. And before we get in, I know there's a lot of people that want me to talk about the acquisition and all the news. But before we get into all that stuff, I want to talk about let's talk about your journey. You have an unbelievable college resume as a player and most notably a very long career as a coach. During your time as a quarterback, you became the second leading passer at WIU history with 6,000 career passing yards. And most recently, you were the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at San Diego State University. What sparks your passion for the game? I want to hear the Jeff Hecklinski story.
Well, I grew up the son of a coach. My dad was a head high school coach in the state of Indiana and won 3 state titles. My brother played football. I played football coming all the way through. He didn't want to coach us, so he got out of the coaching world and got into the business world. We ended up in Chicago. I was actually basketball was always my favorite sport. Grew up in Chicago during the Jordan era, the Rodman era. And I was always a basketball player, but then, football kind of took off for me and ended up going to the University of Illinois. That's where I met my wife. We'll be 30 years married with 3 children, this year. So, everything works itself out for a reason. And football has always been our passion as a family. My wife's dad is a 35-year plus college football coach, University of Texas, University of Illinois, Vanderbilt. He's been all over the country, and then he was a pro scout for the Denver Broncos. So we've been in this football world for a very long time. And really what stems our passion through this is helping people. So in 2022, I was the offensive coordinator at San Diego State, like you mentioned. We got off to a bad start. Anybody who follows college football knows that, with the new payment of players and NIL, coaches are going to move around very quickly now. And, so I got let go. My wife had actually started a clinical research lab in San Diego. And, we're here today. And this is really a passion project for us. Helping families and helping kids around the country. And eventually, with the transaction that just took place globally around the world.
Yeah, that's truly remarkable. I got to ask you this question. And, as a musician, as a podcaster, people often ask me, what is my favorite song or who's my favorite guest? And I'll be honest, like it's almost impossible to answer that question, especially,
Right.
when you have so much passion for what you do. But I got to ask you, because that's what I'm going to do. What is your most memorable football moment as an athlete and as a coach?
I would say there's one really that stands out to not only me, but to us as a family. We left in 2010 from San Diego State and went to the University of Michigan. And very fortunate, the guy, my head coach, Brady Hoke, I'd been with for 14 years, all the way up until 2022. And we went to the University of Michigan. 1 month into our tenure there, my wife is diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. They'd actually misdiagnosed her in San Diego. Had we stayed, and this is fate and this is God's will and everything that takes place through our journey. Had we stayed in San Diego, I might have been a single father because of the misdiagnosis. It was aggressive and fast moving. We get to Michigan. They have the #1 research center for colon cancer in the world and the #1 research doctor in the world. He takes 2 patients a year, and he took Tiffany. And so we're coming through this whole sequence of events starting kind of April, May of 2011. And then we get into the season and we play the first night game in Michigan history against the University of Notre Dame. And, it's an amazing event. It is actually my wife's last radiation cancer treatment was that Friday. And she's at home. She's passed out. Anybody who's ever had anybody go through this and has been through this understands radiation and chemo really just it destroys you. And we go down 24-0 at half and come back and we score. There's 21 points scored in the last minute and a half in the game. We score with 2 seconds left to win the game. And Kirk Herbstreit, we throw a pass, get down to the 25-yard line with 8 seconds left. And Kirk Herbstreit's on the TV. He's telecasting it, and he's saying, "Why aren't they kicking it? Why aren't they kicking it? I disagree with this. I disagree with this." Well, in preparation through everything, we know everything about numbers. We are data driven. We know everything that takes place. So we knew it was 6 seconds. The play we were going to run took exactly 6 seconds, and so we knew we had plenty of time. And Roy Roundtree, one of my closest players, makes the catch for a touchdown. Sure enough, on the clock. 2 seconds left, we win the game. So I'm walking off the field, walking through the band. They're playing Hail to the Victors, and I'm trying to call my wife, and she still has that voicemail today of me just saying, we did it, we made it through. Got a big win, and you've got the big win, and we've made it through. So that's the one that stands out the most. There are many others.
I can't believe the emotion that you must have been going through at that moment. Between what was going on in your personal life and what was going on the field must have been like. A major adrenaline rush. That's truly a remarkable story.
There were a lot of people involved in helping through that. I got very close family. My cousin Stephanie, lived with us for 2 months. Between her mom and dad, my mom and dad, my Aunt Pam, a lot of our coaches' wives that were with us at that time. My daughter was in high school, just starting high school. And my 2 boys were young. They were 10 and 7 at the time, 10 and 8. And so my daughter was really helping raise the boys as I was at practice. So a lot of memories, a lot of good things that we've been through. But when you talk about what really leads us to where we're at and why we're here, it's greater than just any one event. And that's truly what we believe. And that's why when we took this journey with her starting a clinical research lab to help people and me taking on this challenge. It really comes down to the people, and we love being around people and love helping, and we really felt that we can make an impact in both these areas in our lives.
Yeah, it's truly remarkable. And anybody, I mean, guys, we all know somebody out there that has had cancer or had a cancer scare. And as a teacher, I've seen students go through it, and it's heart wrenching. It really is. But I want to also talk about, as a player, what play, what game, what stands out? I have to ask that.
There's a few of them. My first pass at the University of Illinois went for a touchdown, went for a 65-yard touchdown against the University of Missouri. I would say probably from a player standpoint, one game that sticks out was when I was at Western Illinois. We went to Youngstown State and beat Youngstown State to win the conference title. Jim Tressel was the head coach. They had a lot of great players. It was a great football game. I just remember walking into the locker room after the game just thinking like, wow, everything happens for a reason. And it couldn't have happened any better. We were number one in the country. They were two. It was just one of those games and those moments that you think about and you're like, I'll remember this forever. You remember all the losses. I mean, there's, you remember every loss, and it's hard to remember some of the good things and the good times. But and then making the Albany Firebirds. I was one of 9 quarterbacks when I walked in there. I was 9 out of 9 and the only one without any professional experience. Ended up making the team and then got hurt a couple days later, and that ended my career. But those are great things that you achieve that lead you to where you are today, and all of those experiences help you fight through what we're going through on a daily basis in our everyday life right now. So, been very fortunate, been around a lot of great people, and our journey's been helped and brought along by being around a lot of great people and learn from a lot of great people, and we're with a lot of great people right now. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and you've been everywhere. I mean, it's really remarkable. And the truth is, football's like family, and you have so many pockets of people all across the United States, not to mention your own family. And I was actually really shocked to hear that you were played up here right in Albany,
right
around the corner.
Loved our time there. My first game was against the New Jersey Red Dogs too, or was it the Red? Yeah, the New Jersey Red Dogs, I think is what they were. That was my first game against Arena, so we didn't have far to travel. And I love the area. I've recruited that area for a very long time. Some great players that I recruited. Mo Hurst, who's playing for the Browns, he's on IR right now. Jabril Peppers with the Giants. I was very fortunate to be a part of his recruitment. Juwan Bushell-Beatty came over, was an offensive lineman. So I've been in that area for a long time recruiting, and really love. And for us, it's always been about the people. And that area is so genuine. The East has such just genuine people. They tell the truth. They tell it the way it is. And that's the way we were raised.
Yeah. Let's talk signing day sports. Let's talk signing day. How did you become president, and what's the overall vision right now of this revived company and stock?
Well, when I got let go in October of 2022, I obviously had some time. I was under contract, and we were 5 games into the season, so I had some time. One of my former players actually created the app. And so it was a company that had started the public process. I'll go through quickly a little bit about the history and stuff like that. Everybody can read about it, but they had started the public process about 1.5 years earlier. The company was in a severe decline. He actually changed out management, and he asked me to come in and take a look at it. We got a new CEO, Danny Nelson, who's a wonderful human being. And I absolutely just fell in love with the whole process of everything, and being on this side with the kids and the families rather than being on the university side, because I'm only recruiting 4, 5, 6 kids a year right now, as if I'm a coach, as opposed to being able to be a part of everybody's lives on the other side of it. So, and this is a passion project for both me and my wife. My daughter played college softball. She is the coordinator. She essentially operates as the chief of staff, but she's the coordinator of coaching logistics for the Cleveland Browns. And at the time, she was the 5th female ever hired into the personnel departments and was the youngest in 2020. My son is pitching at McKendree University, a Division II school in Illinois. My other son is committed to New Mexico State to play football. And he's a senior right now. But when we're going through this and we're kind of coming together and we're kind of saying, okay, we got coaching jobs that are lining up, everything's kind of happening. We sat down as a family, and my kids looked at me and said, Dad, why don't you do for others what you've been able to do for us, and you have a greater reach with this platform, getting into this side and taking on this challenge than you would from the coaching side. And they're really the ones that gave me the belief and the courage to be able to take this leap into the business side, but also stay in the sport technology side of it, which is really a passion. Like I said, we're all numbers driven in our family and on the coaching side. And, so that really appealed to me too, staying on the sport technology side. And it's different. We have a chance to make an impact. And so this whole merger and everything that's come together really, really has a chance to make a global impact in an area and in a field that really isn't, it isn't at the forefront. I mean, I think you and I had talked a little bit earlier, all the IPOs and everything that's happening in the capital markets, they all sit in certain sectors, and really the sport tech sector, we have a chance to really be a leader in that area. And so that's what's exciting about this.
Yeah. And, being an educator, linking student athletes, recruiters and coaches, it's always had its typical communication. Now, I don't work in the athletic department, but I see it's very important when a kid gets signed to a school. That's a life-changing moment for a student athlete. And I feel that way working in a music department when a kid gets a scholarship to go to music school. Why are you guys so significant? Why is the app so significant in linking athletes up?
We really take the process and put it back into the players and the family's hands of all this. And the joy and pride that takes place when you go on and you play at the collegiate level or even the professional level, because we have worked with some pros in a couple different areas. But when you get to that point and that pride that takes place, and so we really take the process and put it back into the families and to the players' hands. And COVID changed everything for us. I mean, it changed everything for the world. But in terms of an entire process that really was 40, 50, 60 years in the makings, it was a tried and true process that we followed. And then you top that off with NIL and the payment of players. And then you top that off with the transfer portal. And now all of a sudden you took a system and completely blew it up and dismantled it into really nobody knows what it is. And to this day, we're still trying to figure it out. So what we were able to do is come in and rebuild the system now to where we put the power back into the players' hands. We have extensive coaches searches in the app that allow players and families to communicate directly through the app. And then now they're really taking control of their own journeys. And as we know in this world, there's a lot of people who take advantage of situations. And what we're trying to do is create sustainability and credibility to now put it into the players' hands so then they can create their relationships. And so we teach them how to market and brand themselves, which is what the world's all about right now. If you could learn at 16, 17 how to market and brand yourself, imagine right now how far ahead you would be if you were being taught that all the way back when we were 16, 17 years old. We're starting that process and that education process. So that's why we view ourselves as an education platform. That's why we teach. We're all former coaches and player personnel directors because we're all teachers, and we love being immersed into these players' lives and helping them fulfill their dreams.
And they could do it. I mean, they can market their own TikToks, they can market their own Next, they market themselves on YouTube, and marketing themselves for their educational betterment is huge. So giving them the power to do so. I mean, you're talking. This is a disruptive tool that could be used for the future of students.
Essentially, we tell them to take 30 minutes out of their day. You're on your phones. I mean, from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep, they're essentially on their phones. That's why everything we do is catered to the phone, from a coach to a player to a player to a coach. Everything's done through the phones. Okay, so we are laptop or desktop based, but everything is app driven and through the phone. And so what we ask them to do is 30 minutes out of that day, spend it towards your future of communicating with coaches. We've essentially made it simple for them to start to hit buttons, which is what they do and what they're used to. Okay. Market themselves and brand themselves, which is what they're used to. Instead of taking a TikTok video, take some videos of some drills and some things that are going to be important to what a coach needs to see. And then now get it to them and then start those lines of communication. We teach them how to communicate. We teach them how to keep things simple. We teach them how to not overwhelm because when coaches get overwhelmed, they tend to walk away. So this whole process is really, we've fallen in love with this whole teaching process that we've set up for them, and we're seeing success. We're anywhere between 35 and 40% success rate in scholarship offers. And you got to remember, this goes beyond scholarships too, because you got Ivy League, you got high academic schools, you got Division III schools. You have roster spots that need to be filled. Just like my son, he's on an academic scholarship to McKendree. He's on zero athletic money, but yet he's fulfilling a dream of pitching in college, developing, learning all those things that are coming with the ups and downs. And then now when he graduates, he's going to be better able to serve wherever he's choosing to go do when he enters the real world after he gets his degree. And that's what this is all about.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm just thinking now, as I'm listening you explain this thing, and my brain's running wild with ideas. You could have like a virtual film portfolio. You could have, I mean, there's something you could do where like you could take your highlights, take your clips, you could take all these things, and you could submit them to schools. You could tailor like your best plays. You could tailor where you need improvements. You could tailor all these things and send them all. Am I right?
We're already way ahead of you. That's already existent within the app. So
wow.
Right now we take a highlight tape. We can individualize it down into individual clips. And now that coach, so like my son, when he was going through the process this spring, he was able to take spring ball clips, put them up, send them to those coaches. Hey, here was practice today. And then now all of a sudden those coaches are evaluating. So when we came through the process of camps in June, he got his offers and he committed. He's got a great spot, a great home at New Mexico State. And he's created those relationships. Those relationships started, 6-8 months ago. So we're already way ahead of that and already involved in that. That is the process, exactly what you talked about. And now we're looking for it. We're looking for advancement on how quickly we can advance the app to better serve the athlete and better serve the coaches.
That is so cool. That's awesome. And guys, I got to say, there's a 1-month free trial on this app. So if you go on Google Play, I just loaded the app a couple days ago, and just give it a shot. Do a free trial, because if you're investing in a company and stuff, you want to make sure that the product works. You want to make sure that the product is real, Oh, wait, that's right. We're not talking OTC right now. We're talking NYSE. Different ballgame, see? I mean, I'm used to giving them the details. Make sure the product is real, kids. No, these guys are legit. This is good stuff. So, guys, check out the app. And, hey, if you have a student or if you have a kid at home that's in high school, whatever, get them the app. Give it a shot. And you know what? Give it a shot and let me know what you think. Email me at buffalofiresidechats@gmail.com. I want to hear your review of it. And I'll forward everything to Coach Heck here, So I want to get into this acquisition a little bit more.
Absolutely.
And I want to talk about this. There's a lot to talk to. And listen, guys, I know some people from the DRCR Discord sent over some questions, and I will throw you those questions. And I'll be honest, guys. He's going to answer what he can. If he can't answer it, well,
I got Nick and James sending questions in here too now. Come on, that's not fair.
I don't know. Well, it's their people that are sending in. There are DRCR diehards out there, and so like I go, hey, if you have questions, you either get your butt to the show or you send them to me ASAP. And actually, shout out the Jeep man. I'm going to give him a shout out in a second because I have a clip I want to show that he shared on Twitter. And so, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about this PR. I want to break this thing down piece by piece. All right. Big note here. We're going to talk the first section here. The original balance of more than 0.6 million has been fully extinguished. All right. Primarily from conversion into shares of common stock. The improved financial position strengthens the company's prospect for growth and future capital raising. Now, why is this so significant?
Well, let's first start off. Understand, we talk about the people and we talk about everything's driven by the people. And so James and Nick and our team of Danny Nelson, Craig Smith, our COO, myself, there were such great synergies within the people when we started this whole process, and we realized that, we could do something very special here in really talking about a whole global market in an area that really needs expansion. And the synergies between the people really was where it started with. And I can't thank James and Nick enough as we've come through this, because, these things are complex. You think lining up and running a play on Saturday is complex. That's nothing compared to everything that we do on a daily basis right now between James and Nick. And then coordinating all that with, they're overseas, we're in America, and you got all these different things going on, to the legal teams that are out there that are working with both of us and that we work with, and to everybody involved. I can't say thank you enough. It's been a special process to go through this. The synergies of cleaning up, our balance sheet. As we know, DRCR and Swifty is a profitable company. And for us, in order to move forward, we had to get to profitability so then we can expand quickly as fast as they're expanding. And so that's the whole process to this right now. And that was the first step of it. And we were fortunate that, everything came together last Thursday, the way it came together. And we were able to start that process and get off on a great foot on that. So we're excited about where we're headed in that area.
Right on. That it sounds phenomenal. And the acquisition itself, I mean, they're profitable at this point. And I think there are some great synergies that are going to be happening. I'm going to ask you about that momentarily. Right. I want to talk about live data feed. All right. So, there are a lot of sports that do not have this. So what is so significant about this, and how do you see expanding this, and how do you guys see capitalizing on this?
Well, for us, from their standpoint, they already have it. It's already existing for them, and they're going to build it out, in areas that aren't existent right now. But sports betting takes place on live data feeds. That's what happens in football, basketball, baseball. That's what's, I'm sure people on here are doing that right now. For us, integrating that now helps us create live data feeds. Then now that can be integrated into our app at a very low cost and be very cost effective, because the development teams already have it. And we have access to James and Nick's development teams now. So it eliminates costs for us. It enables us to move very fast. And then those data feeds now constantly update. So as we're running combines, as numbers are being inputted, they're constantly being updated, constantly being sent to coaches around the country, eventually around the world. So now everything is constantly updated. And that's real. There's nobody, I shouldn't say this, I shouldn't say nobody, to my knowledge, we would be at the forefront of doing this on the recruiting side. And so from that standpoint, that's where we're building towards. And that's why we talk about the synergies of the live data feed and the elimination of cost on the development side. Those are both in our press releases that you can read about.
Remarkable. And so there are obviously going to be here cross marketing opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's important. And I was talking to you before the show, and it's like, you guys have the ability now to expand into Europe.
Mm-hmm.
They now have the ability to expand into the United States. So the ability for both those markets is massive. I mean, massive. And what you guys are doing hasn't been done. You're already ahead of the curve, and this could be the go-to for high schools, the go-to for colleges. Unbelievable.
Right. And that's the goal. The goal is to be the first. And when you're the first, you have a chance really to set the market. And so that when we came together and we sat down and we started talking, we both had that vision of we are the first. And so now when you bring it together from a global aspect, conversations are happening, every day now for us with areas and people that we didn't even know existed, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. And so that's what we're talking about now, how we bring it together on their side and how everything happens. When you have a chance to be first, and everything starts with one, and we have a chance to be the first to really expand this market and really do it in a way that becomes, again, sustainable and credible. That's the goal. And between James and Nick, Craig, myself, and Danny, the 5 of us, those were the synergies that hit right away. And that's why we're excited about where we're headed. And there's going to be a lot of hard days ahead. There'll be a lot of hard work ahead. But the thing you have is you got 5 fighters who are going to stand in the fight toe to toe and not back down from it.
Excellent. I'm looking at the questions. There's some great questions in the chat. Guys, I'm going to get to you momentarily. I want to continue on chipping away at this PR. Let's look at the third section. Strategic synergies. All right. We're talking about cost efficiency, revenue growth in software as a service, new revenue streams, new market exposure, enhanced user engagement. Break these down for us. I just give us what you can. I know that you can't give forward-looking statements. By the way, guys, I did put that disclaimer on beforehand, but chip away at this and
Leave,
just
yeah,
share with us.
leave that up for me so I can
I
go down
will. I will.
my
Yep.
bullet point, because that'll help me stay on task then too. But when we talk about cost efficiency, that's exactly what we just talked about. They are further developed, and so they can immediately bring in their technology into our technology at very little to no cost, and continue that development process. Where before, I want you to understand, before, when I first got here, all of our development and engineering was outsourced. And so anybody who's been a part of technology company knows at the expense of outsourcing technology as opposed to having it in-house. But now, and we were able to do that. It took us 12 months to bring our initial technology in-house and our developer in-house. Now we have the ability to use an established development and technology working system that has already been developed. So, I mean, that eliminates cost and enables us to move very quickly through the market in our development. When we talk about revenue growth of a SaaS model, we've seen instrumental growth and great growth through the course of our year and a half. Really, since January 1 was the first SaaS model revenue that we had, and we've seen great growth in that. The big thing about SaaS model revenue, as we all know, we want retention, and so that's where we really feel the new revenue streams and the enhanced user engagement really play into the growth of the SaaS model. Because if we have additional revenue streams, we keep them coming back, and that's in development right now. We just launched our apparel about 2 months ago. We're seeing great responses in orders every day. And then the enhanced user experience, that's where you get the live data feeds and all that stuff, constant leaderboards, updating leaderboards, things that are taking place, in real time now, that keeps people coming back to the app, that keeps the retention. And so that's the goal. Those three kind of all tie together with each other right there. And then the new market exposure is what we talked about. Their access to the United States and the capital markets in the United States through this merger, and then our access to the global markets is really what brings us together. And that's, when we talked about the global initiative, and that's essentially what we termed it. It's a global initiative between Nick and James and the signing day sports team.
Excellent. And I got to ask you, I've met Nick and James in person. First meeting, first impression. What did you think?
Nick is a million miles an hour. He's a man after myself. I tell you, he and I go in tangents, and we can go off. And Craig and James are very similar, because they're the ones that bring us back in to get back on task. So I think there's a lot of similarities between the four of us. That's why we play so well off of each other. But that's why with Craig and I, and with Nick and James, we balance each other out so well. And that's what a team should be, right? A team should be balanced. We shouldn't be heavy in one area and light in another area. We should balance each other out, and it not be personal. I mean, there's going to be things that are said and things that happen and things that take place, and through the complex structures that all these things have to happen through. It's not personal. It's about how do we come together to make the best product, and then in turn make the best product that then benefits every shareholder that's involved. At the end of the day, our sole purpose is to do what's in the best interest of our shareholders and what's in the best interest of our customers. Those two things only, and that's the only goal. And that's when we knew we aligned with Nick and James.
You clearly, and I've said this, and I'm going to talk real quickly. I'll say regarding a couple other stocks. He runs a tight ship. James Gibbons runs a great tight ship at DRCR. Same thing with Nick. He's been transparent with the shareholders. I'm a big shareholder, and so meeting those guys, I know that they have stellar work ethic, and I know they're true to their word. And that's what it's. And Jordan and I were talking about this, and Jordan actually has a question for you, which I'm going to pop up in a second. But it's easy to invest in the hot new product. It's easy to invest in speculative plays. I like to invest in people. I like to see the vision. I like to see sincerity. I like to see follow through. And if you work hard, if you face adversity, if you hit those points in the road where you hit those obstacles and you create opportunities with your obstacles, that's the most important thing. And I like seeing leaders in the business world that actually have those traits where they're able to do that. So that's important to me.
Yeah, and that was the synergy from day one with James and Nick. Exactly what you described, and that's what they felt with us, and that's how this came together. Because if there wasn't, at some point in time, these things fall apart because there isn't that. And like you said, it's really caring. It's taking the time to get to know people, get to know your customers, get to know the people that you're working with on a daily basis. We're lucky we're small. And most of us come from the same background. I'm sure, we're going to expand and get bigger, here over time. And James and Nick are helping us expand that. But it's taking that time to get to know everybody. And that's really the most important thing for us, is to get to know everybody that's involved.
And, you said a word earlier, and it's a word that I've tried to use more often over the last couple of years, and that's balance.
Yep.
It's working with the team. I mean, working with my friends, even through this podcast, or maybe it be something else. Balance is the most important thing when you're working as a team, because if you don't have it, things get out of control, they get out of whack, and next thing you know, you're up Schitt's Creek without a paddle.
And we've all lost our sense of balance at times too. When I was at Michigan, I lost my sense of balance there. My kids will tell you they viewed me as the most miserable human being in the world, and I'm at the University of Michigan winning games 35-14. I go to Colorado State Pueblo after we get let go in 14, and now my nickname is Pueblo Jeff, because that's when they started to like me again. And I'd lost my sense of balance at that point. But losing that balance, fighting through, coming on the other end of it, and now being in this situation, understanding how to keep that balance and that perspective, and really stay true to who we want to be and where we're headed. And that's really what we've been able to do through the course of finishing the IPO. I mean, you got to realize that when I first came in, we were going NASDAQ. NASDAQ shut down in December of 2022. We have to switch over to the NYSE and start the process all over again. And so, going through that whole process and then getting to this point, if I hadn't lost my sense of balance a while ago, this thing can break you. And, the people that are around us, the people we're with every day, our families, and that balance is what keeps us, grounded to be able to, see the vision and finish it.
All about that support. It's all about that support. I got some questions here from the DRCR, the DRCR Discord. All right, here's the first one. Several shareholders noticed in the filings that officers, insiders, directors will have only 3-month lockups versus the usual 6 or 12-month lockup that we've seen with a number of other companies. Can you explain why and how all the parties and advisors decided to go with the 3-month, 90-day lockup versus something longer? And do you have any concerns that this could signal to the street as to your intentions?
We actually saw it the opposite way. We saw it as a sense and a vision of strength and trust. We're in this for the long haul, and we saw it as a sense of strength and trust in each other. That I understand what the questions are when they see that, but then to understand that the people that are involved are truly committed to the process and staying in the process, and then finishing the process for the benefit of the customer and the benefit of the shareholder. We saw that as a position of strength. We saw that as a position of trust, that the group and the working group between the 5 of us has such a strong trust in each other that, we're okay with a 3-month leak out, because we know we're staying in the process together and we're going to see this thing through. And so, that was really the vision in all this. The advisors kind of came to us and said, we see how well this is meshing. What are your thoughts? And we looked at each other and thought, we trust you, you trust us. Let's go, and let's make it happen.
Right on. So if the deal with Swifty goes through on or before October 30th, per press release, what time frame could we be looking at for the DRCR shares to trade under SGN?
I'm not at liberty to discuss that right now. That'll be all in the definitive agreement when it comes out, and that's all being worked on right now. So I can't misspeak and speak ahead of that, because that's what's being formulated in the definitive agreement right now. But that'll be all public disclosure once the definitive agreement is signed.
All right. Given the NDA was signed back in April, could you please provide us with some context as to how the dialogue started? Was it through an intermediary? Like, did you guys approach Swifty? Did Swifty approach you guys? How did it sort of just come to fruition?
That's all going to be disclosed in the S4 process afterwards, after the definitive agreement. So, those are all things that are going to be highly scrutinized. Those 2 questions right there are going to be highly scrutinized, both by the NYSE and by both legal teams. And so, in order for me to speak about that would be stepping out of the process. And that's one thing we promised we would not do, is step out of this process. So that'll be all disclosed in the S4 that comes out after the definitive agreement.
Oh, that's going to be a read. That is going to be a read, and it's going to be very, very exciting. So that's a to be continued, BFC fam. Right on.
Listen, we'll have a lot of time to talk through all these different things. I have a feeling between us and Swifty, we'll be talking to you guys a lot. So we're excited about this whole process, and this is just the beginning, and that's the way we view it. We're just starting this now, and we're starting this together, and I'm proud to be here with you and proud to be on with your listeners and everybody that we're just starting this all together.
Yeah, you're part of the BFC fam now, and we love having returning guests, and we're really glad to have you. Very excited. So let's talk about the operating loss. How is SGN going to address the increasing operating loss after the merger?
Well, I mean, a big part of that is the profitability and the revenues that Swifty Global already has and DRCR. But on the other end of it too, a big part of our operating loss is public cost. And what you don't realize until you get into the weeds of all this is an expensive process, and it's a continually expensive process on a daily basis. And so those costs now being split out are really going to help with our operational cost. And then obviously with the growth markets, the improved SaaS model, the additional revenue streams, and being able to grow into global markets, now all of a sudden you're seeing now how we can really quickly eliminate that operational loss and get it to an operational gain.
Excellent. I do have one more Discord question.
By the way, thank you to whoever said that's a great name, Coach Heck. That's what I've only been called Heck my entire life.
That was a heck of a comment, Major Gaines. No, Major Gaines is great. He's been a part of the BFC fam. He's been on here and watching. And hey, thanks for being a part of the BFC community, Major Gaines. Great talking with you. I do have another question from the Discord. Given that name, image, and likeness, NIL, is a significant factor in college athletics, it's surprising that Signing Day Sports hasn't explicitly mentioned it in its recent announcements about the acquisition. How does this triad of sports prediction, recruitment, and platform integration plan to address NIL, particularly in terms of directly assisting athletes in securing NIL deals in a two-way market rather than relying solely on exposure and recruitment? What special features or services are you considering to empower athletes to build their personal brands and negotiate lucrative nil contracts? That's a good question.
Well, let me first start off by saying, if you want to know where NIL stands today, go to ESPN.com right now. You're going to see the starting quarterback from UNLV just left the team. They're 3-0. They're 23rd in the country in one poll, and I think they're 26th in the other. He's beaten 2 Power 5 teams, and he literally walked off the practice field yesterday, redshirted, and is going to transfer again. The reason being is that NIL, the way that we understand it from the outside, is not NIL the way it is on the inside. Okay, we see name, image, and likeness. Somebody pays an athlete for doing, some work to help, broadcast, publicize an apparel, something along those lines, right? That's not NIL, and that's not what's happening in college football. And in fact, you're going to hear 2 words, revenue share, coming up. That's going to be a big thing over the next 12 to 15 months in the college football world. Federal government is heavily involved in this. Okay. And so it's going to become a revenue share model, which means that conferences then are going to be able to monitor the money coming in and then the money going out. If you think of a pro league, think of the NFL. Okay. You got a commissioner. Everybody knows where every dollar is. They know where every dollar is spent, and every team has a cap. Right now, that doesn't exist in college football. So now what's happening is there's going to be a revenue share that goes into the university systems, into the conferences. That's going to create a salary cap, which then now universities can already just straight pay players. And so if you read that article, they're going to talk about how he was promised a certain amount of money. He didn't get it, and he left. He agreed to a verbal contract, and he walked out the door when it wasn't fulfilled. And UNLV is saying on their end, well, it was a verbal contract. It wasn't a contract. Well, just pay attention over the next couple of weeks, because when you have a high profile player do that, most of the time when players leave, they're disgruntled and they're painted as disgruntled. This is not a disgruntled player. This is a player that literally now this is what's happening. So when you talk about name, image, and likeness, that whole system is changing and evolving right now. That's why we haven't stepped into it, because we understand that there's still a lot to play itself out right now. And for us as a company to throw money into a situation that in the next 2 months may completely change, we have better needs for that money to serve than in that area right now. So that's where, when you talk about the business model, bringing it together, and then us being, from the system and from the college football world and understanding how all this is changing, being able to talk to people and understand, what's coming down the road. We have a plan. And at the time, assuming that it goes the way that we think it's going to go, we have a plan to attack, but it's not ready to be implemented, because the plan of attack is you don't know what you're attacking right now in the NIL space. And so, we don't want to waste money. We don't want to throw money away. We want to build a business in the right way and be prudent with the money.
Well, and honestly, some regulation in that front is way long overdue. It's way overdue. And so it's good to see some reforms coming to that. And
listen, you could tell I got a passion for this side.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all the business side of it. And, I've been on a lot of the sides of the business side of college football, and have a pretty good understanding of where this is headed, but also why it's gotten to the point where it's gotten. And so there definitely needs to be, they definitely need to address some of the issues. How it all comes together, I can kind of see it, but there's still a lot to be discussed, and there's still a lot to be hashed out in over the course of the next 12 months. I think we might be 2 years away from seeing the final product of what college football looks like. Wow.
That is a great answer and a great viewpoint. Well, listen, I got to do this to you because you're a first-time guest. And while we're going down this event, I want you guys to put some more questions in the comments section, because right after we do this fire round, we're going to get right to the audience. So are you ready?
I am ready.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if you're ready yet.
I don't know. You didn't tell me the questions, but you kind of filled me in on what it was going to be like. So I've been prepping. Listen, if I can't react fast to this, then I wasn't a very good quarterback. So.
Here we go. All right, you got to answer 10 questions in 2 minutes. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. You're on the clock. Question number 1. Chicken wings, blue cheese, or ranch?
I'm a ranch guy.
Ranch guy. You're not allowed in Buffalo anymore. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. You could win a Super Bowl coaching any team. Who's the team?
My family would kill me if I didn't say the Bears, but my daughter works for the Browns, so I'm going with the Cleveland Browns all the way.
If you could be one superhero, who would you be?
Oh, man. Iron Man.
Iron Man. I love it. 4, if you could get one famous sponsor for Signing Day Sports, who would it be?
I'm a Bryce Harper fan. I got to be honest. I love Bryce Harper. I love everything about him. I think he's just a gritty athlete. I would love to have him be a part of Signing Day Sports.
And you say that with my Braves blanket behind me. Unbelievable. If you had a pet parrot, what would you teach it to say?
What the heck?
What the heck? What item do you hope will be obsolete in 20 years?
My gray hair.
Have you ever made a prank phone call?
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? I wasn't a saint growing up.
If you could only subscribe to one YouTube channel for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
This one right here.
I like it. Ding,
Let's
ding,
go.
Ding. 9, where's the most interesting place you've ever been to?
I'm gonna say Anna Maria Island, where we have a house with our in-laws. It's home to us, and it's our place of just quiet peacefulness.
That's awesome. And number 10. It's February 9th, 2025. Who just won the Super Bowl?
Cleveland Browns. They turn it around. Deshaun gets hot.
With 21 seconds to spare, Coach Heck nails the challenge. I got to send you some BFC swag. That was excellent. Well done.
Need it. I'll get it out there in the public.
That's right. Next time you get on here, you'll have to be wearing the
You're my
BFC
NIL.
swag.
You're my NIL sponsor.
Oh, that's great. That is awesome. You don't get an extra 2 minutes because you don't need it. You'd be shocked that some people actually get really stumped on the questions, especially like the superhero question. Like some people, like you could tell, like they've never thought about it. I love Iron Man.
I am a Marvel. I am a superhero nut job. Nut job. In fact, in 2012, they did a whole article on me at Michigan on how I was a fanatic of all superheroes, Marvel, everything. My wife thinks it's the most childish thing she's ever seen, but something my boys and I are really into.
My son and I, we like to do Marvel nights.
Love
we
it.
just do a Spider-Man flick, or we'll just do the Avengers. I mean, like,
what's your favorite?
you know, I gotta say, well, I don't know. I mean, like, what was the last one I watched? The most recent one was great. I can't even think of the name of it. I'm a big Spider-Man fan.
Okay,
Not into the universe, Spider-Verse. I'm not into that one as much.
I got you.
I like the original one, the originals.
All the way back.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the cartoon ones. A little too jumpy for me.
I got you.
The last one was pretty good though. It was better than I thought. It had a slow start, but yeah, I'm an Iron Man fan. You know,
I like the last two. The last two are my favorite. Endgame and the one before.
Endgame. That was it. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be honest with you. That all came together. I don't know if that was planned or by chance, but how that all came together to get to that point over that 10-year span, I don't think anybody could ever repeat something like that because it blended so perfectly. So perfectly.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Now let's get to the audience, and they got some great questions. Here we go. Tom Sign. Does SGN offer job placement for students that are in a sports major program, either assisting the student and or employer looking to fill positions?
That is something that has been discussed, and it would be something that we thought as we gain more of a database and more users and get into more sports, a year or two from now, that could be something that could be very easily accessible. Then the reason we discussed it when we talked about stickiness to the app and we talked about retention, that would be post high school, getting people back on the app to help with that. And so that's where that discussion kind of started with all that. So, where it heads to at that point, I don't know, but that has been discussed.
Excellent. Jord Hugga. Will they truly merge with DRCR or go private or spin off?
I cannot disclose that right now, but hopefully my answer on trust and strength, can really provide insight into the thought process of where we're headed. We're in this for the long haul.
Right on. Will SGN ever eventually become a sub of DRCR?
That'll all be in the definitive agreement in the S4 as we come through that.
AKA stay tuned.
Process. Remember, stay in the process, guys. Stay in the process.
Major gains. Let's close this up list, boys. Storm is coming.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
October Madness begins next week. It's right on. All right, here we go from Stephanie Spear. Are you going to focus only on football, or down the road would you expand to other sports?
We're already expanded. So we already are in men's and women's soccer, softball, and baseball. Men's and women's soccer, Kevin Grogan heads our division, who was a former Major League Soccer player from Ireland and is here in the United States, is here in New York, big influential person in the youth soccer market. And then we have a contract with EDP, Elite Development Program, and Andy Roderick and his team, which runs some of the largest tournaments in leagues on the East Coast. So we're already breaking ground into building the brand into soccer, with softball and baseball next on the pipeline for us, and that's why those are up and running. So from there, it's going to be about accessibility, and it's going to be about thought process into how quickly we can expand and build, and who the partners are at that point.
Right on. I'm going to give a shout out to Jeep Man, and Jeep Man actually he posted this on X, and basically, quick little clip of Ireland website during the live games yesterday. Swifty on the big board is going to make some noise soon. So if you haven't followed him, follow Jeep Man 2Ns7. Give him a follow. He is Mr. DRCR. But no, he had the app out there, and it looks great. And so, and that's why I got to ask the next question. I wanted to share that with you. And like I said, shout out to Jeep Man. Keep doing what you're doing. Question from Tav. Coach Heck, what are your thoughts on DRCR's business? Swifty Global?
I'll tell you what, I think it's a great model. I think they've separated themselves and made themselves completely different by the direction they're headed in. And I think they think outside the box, very similar to the way we do, where they're looking for the niches that really can make them different. And so we're excited about, being a part of that growth process and growth process into different sports the same way they're excited about us and helping us build the growth process into our business side of it. So, and that's really the synergies that have come together through this. But I really like the target points that they have. And like everybody says, everybody wants the $5 and $10 bets, but there is a strong set of population where anonymity and quietness and being able to operate without everybody knowing your business, I think that's where they really have a niche market where they really can attack. So, I just think there's a lot of great things that we have moving forward together in helping each other build out both products.
Yeah, and I got to say, like, just looking at their filings, looking at the debt situation, looking at the quarter-on-quarter revenue increases, the profit increases, I think you guys are entering, and this is my opinion, not his, into a very, very great agreement. And,
What's Jeep Man's Twitter handle again?
It is capital JEET, capital MANN 7 at Jeepman7. Don't forget the extra N. And if anybody out there isn't subscribed or following him, give Jeepman a follow. Seriously, give him a follow. All right, let's get to Paul McKinney. Pay me some. It wouldn't be a normal episode if he didn't show up. Paul, what's going down? What kind of marketing is the company doing to get it out there? Colleges, stadiums, where?
Well, to be honest with you, we've been all grassroots so far. We run all of our own events. We have a partnership with the U.S. Army Bowl and the U.S. Army National All-Star Game, which is the premier high school all-star game in the country each year out of Frisco, Texas at the middle of December. And so, but we've been all grassroots. We do all of our own combines. We're in front of every person, every one of our customers. And we kept it small for that reason. One, obviously we're a small company that's in a public market. So, we've had to really pick and choose and be diligent on where we put our resources. And the second thing is there's nobody better to market our product than ourselves. We're the ones who built it. We're the ones who understand it. And we're the ones who really have the understanding of how it all comes together. So that's why we've done that. We know we're going to have to expand on this. And that's why, we're excited with James and Nick to use their expertise in this on how to expand, but also how to expand in the right way, because you talk about digital marketing, but then, the spend that can go into it for no return, making sure that we're always targeted in the right direction. So we're doing what's in the best interest, again, shareholder, customer, product. Those are the three things that are on our mind day in and day out.
Yeah. And make sure you check out their website, sdcombine.com. That's actually right exactly where we were talking about with the what you're doing with the Army. Oh my God, I can't think of the word. But
SDScombines.com is our combine website, and then signingdaysports.com is our signing day sports. But yeah.
Yes.
So, this
one links to the other, if I'm correct. Signing Day Sports, yes. You could click on it and it jumps you over to the site.
Yes, sir.
So get to signingdaysports.com. Awesome. Great question, Paul. All right. Ag and Austin. Do you see any roadblocks that need to be overcome in order to close the DRCR acquisition?
I'll be honest with you. There's going to be something. There always is. Like I said, these are complex situations that take a lot of thought, take a lot of diligence, and take a lot of working together in order to get through. And so from that standpoint, I think the best answer and the honest answer is you have two groups of people who want to find a way in order to make this happen. And so what those roadblocks are, what they could be, who knows? We were talking offline a little bit ago, until you get into the weeds of every situation, because you were talking about the blending of the technology, we were kind of talking about, how all that comes
together. Change, cross marketing. Yep.
Right. Until you get into the weeds of it, what you think you have going in usually ends up being a total 180 at the end of it. And so, how all this comes together, all you got to know is you got two committed companies, you got 5 committed people, and we're going to do everything we can to stand toe to toe in order to make this successful.
Right on. Lucrative is the word you want, E-Rock.
I like lucrative.
I like that word. Tom Stein goes, lucrative sounds like a rapper that specializes in financial lyrics. And George Hugger goes, that's Lil Stacks.
Lucrative, ludicrous.
Oh, yeah.
I see where he was going with it.
Maybe we got something going on there. I don't know. Guys,
maybe he's a rapper. We got our own little Eminem right there.
No, that you'll eventually meet George Hugger. I am almost sure he's a huge. He's big in DRCR, QINDI list. Like he is friends with Nick and JP. Like he's a big investor there, knows them well, and very professional. And so it's George Hugger is a great guy, or Kyle Hugger as we like to call him here. But no, this has just been great to like sit down and be able to ask you these questions. This is just exciting, man.
Well, hopefully, I know there's certain things that I have to stay away from, and again, staying within that process. But hopefully, everybody's got a great sense of who I am, who we are as a company, and then why this came together, and where this is headed. And like I said, this is a global initiative. So, if that gives you any indication as to where our mindsets are, this is a global initiative together.
And I do have one last question from George Hugger. The synergies between your company and DRCR are obvious. Do you plan on acquiring any future companies or just organic growth?
Oh, if I gave that away, I think I'd be giving too much away on that.
We got to ask. We got to press a little bit.
Listen. I don't. You guys know James and Nick. I know James and Nick. You guys don't know me. You're getting to know me. You haven't met Craig yet, but I can tell you this: we're not sitting still. We're not sitting still. You don't put the words global initiative out to sit on your hands. So, like I said, we're ready to attack. We're coming together. We're going to stand toe to toe, and we're ready. We're ready to step in the ring and get into a straight street fight and make this something special.
Yeah, and it's grassroots, and they already have 10,000 app users, if I'm correct. It's already up to 10,000.
We have a database over 10,000. Yep.
Wow, truly remarkable. Truly remarkable. Hey guys, there are 213 people watching. Make sure you hit the heart, hit the like, subscribe, share the content. I'd love it if you did that.
The most? I want to know, is that the most? I'm all about winning. And if I'm not, just lie to me and tell me I was, so I feel good tonight.
The most was 2,149.
Oh wow!
Yeah, there were a couple that were up there. A lot of times when I cover a company, sometimes a company may not be tradable for some time. Let's say they're out 4 months, 5 months. So like those are really big episodes. When everybody's excited to get trading again. But you guys, and always said this about DRCR too, completely under the radar, squeaky clean financials. The profit margins are decent, great revenues. They're looking at what, 2 to 3 million profits right now. So I mean, and they are just in the what's the word that Jordan was in, the word that he was telling me. He goes, don't say it's not in its infancy. We're going to talk about this after. George's going to text me. He's going to tell me that word. I know he's going to tell me that word. I had a perfect opportunity to use that darn word, but the truth is like looking at what they accomplished over the last couple months, I say, wow, quarter over quarter increases, expanding their abilities in different countries, getting licenses in other countries. Look at what you guys are doing. And this is just me speaking, synergistically speaking of what you're trying to do, especially I'm looking at it from an educational standpoint and getting students into the colleges, getting placed professionally, even having a point where like, hey, once you're done with your sports, if you didn't get picked up, here's a career opportunity. I mean, the opportunities are absolutely endless. And now you have the opportunity to go into the European markets, the Middle Eastern markets, the Asian markets. You have, like you said, a global initiative, and DRCR, Swifty Global, has a chance to penetrate the U.S. market, which would be unbelievable as well.
When you look at our Qs and you compare them to a year ago, and then you understand where we were a year ago, having to shut everything down, rebuild it, the whole new management team was brand new, did not really start until almost November of 2022, and then really the first event was December of 2022, and then you put all that in context, the growth potential that we have with the people that are in place. With now, the acquisition and the bringing together of both companies, I mean, this thing's ready to explode, and we're excited about it. We're excited about it because we're excited to be able to help as many people around the world as we can.
Yep. And Paul McKinney did mention that earlier, that just get a few big names and then this thing blows up. And yes, Jordan Hugga did. Nascent was the word. The word was nascent.
I would have never even known that word either.
He,
Don't feel bad.
he is the location of all fancy verbiage. Now, George's a great guy.
And you're right on grassroots. And being only, we've only been through, really only one recruiting cycle is actually in college right now. Well, that's going to be the build out as we come through this now. And we'll get out of the grassroots marketing once we get a stronger foothold and foundation.
Before I kick you out of here, I want to give you an opportunity to just give a closing statement to shareholders, potential shareholders, anybody that's out there that may be a student athlete or looking to use the app or has a student out there.
Well, you got to be careful on how you speak on certain things. And, first off, thank you for having me and having us as Signing Day Sports and really being able to get in front of everybody that's here and is going to watch it, post broadcast and everything like that. It means a lot. It does. It truly does. I hope from the bottom of my heart, the sincerity to be here and to be able to share our story is most important to me. And I thank you for that and giving me that opportunity and giving us the opportunity. Again, Nick and James and DRCR and Swifty, can't thank them enough for where we're headed together. And also both legal teams. We can't do this without, everybody that's involved with this, from our legal teams to our auditors and everything like that. I thank you. It's a lot that goes into this, and anybody who's been through it understands that there's just, every day there's a lot of people that are involved in this. And I think, like I said before, when you get a group of fighters together and they see a pathway to create something that's special and do something that's different, it has a chance really to become something that really is transformative. And that's where I think we are. That's where I think we're headed. Make no mistake, we know there's going to be, somebody called it roadblocks, adversity. We've all been through that. And I told you the story of my wife. We're playing Notre Dame at the night game, and my wife's going through cancer treatments. And, it's all those different adversities that bring this together that then all of a sudden, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months from now, you have something that is nobody ever thought it could get there. Nobody ever believed it, except for the people that were sitting in the room that wanted to prove everybody wrong. And that's what I think we have together with James, Nick, Craig, and Danny and myself. So we're excited. And I'm excited. Hopefully, we can get James and I on at the same time, so we can start going back and forth on each other too.
Yeah, well, that's the goal. That's the goal. Next week, I did reach out to James, and I know he's traveling on business. But we're hoping next week or the week after that we get together and I could be the fly on the wall and you guys could go at it. And I think this will be great. And I think people would love to see it. I've always wanted to have James on the show. So what a better time than now when big things are happening. But I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. You're always welcome to share updates on the BFC. And, thank you very much.
Well, hopefully I lived up to expectations for everybody.
Hey, you did a great job. I got to say, you were one of the fastest people on the fire round. But more than that, you really were transparent on all the information, sharing stories about your family, sharing stories about your career, sharing stories about your vision for this company, sharing what you could about this acquisition. I completely appreciate it. The community appreciates it. And we can't wait to do it again. So
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Appreciate you guys.
And you better hang out backstage for a second while I wrap this up.
Yes, sir.
But as for now, I'm kicking this guy out of here. Hey, get the heck out of here. Get the heck out of here. I got him the heck out of here. Awesome guest. That was great. So much information. It's amazing what you learn when you sit down and do some DD from the source. Let me know what you think in the comments. Share the content, like everything. Hey guys, I'm out. This is it. It's been a great return. Took a couple weeks off, but what a better guest. I mean, we couldn't have had a better guest, kicking things back off and getting into fall trading. And I look forward to covering SGN, DRCR, and seeing how everything unfolds. Very exciting. That's all I got, guys. That's it. Just remember, there is more that binds us than breaks us. Peace out, guys.